Welcome to One Word Stories. My name is Joanna Zell, and I'm very happy to host a very special guest of mine, Miki Yamashita. Miki comes originally from Japan, brings a vast experience in intercultural communication and working with storytelling practices. And she is a professor, faculty of global studies at the Reitaku University in Japan, and brings a vast experience from the Intercultural Institute in Portland, in the US, where she used to offer also intercultural programs. Miki, you are bringing such a huge expertise, and I'm really so happy that you are having time and willingness to share with us how you yourself work with storytelling practices, particularly with one very powerful method, which is called the living library. A very warm welcome.
Thank you very much, Jonah, for having me. And it is quite honor for me to be a speaker for you. I watched many other episodes by wonderful people, so I'm really appreciate that you're having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy you are joining. Actually, one of the episodes was also recorded with a common friend of ours, Sushi no Miya, who also gathered the experience in Japan. And you, both of you ladies, you have co-authored a chapter for the book on the women empowerment. So this is really the brand new publication. So congratulations once again.
Thank you very much, Jonah. Yes, I love storytelling. We learn a lot from stories. So please let me start where I got the inspiration. Well, first of all, when I was when I was a teenager, I came across a book called the Native Americans Teaching from Native Americans, and that was written by Taizo Kato. And then that was a kind of a self-development book. But I've learned that Native Americans pass teaching for children by using storytelling. So I was really fascinated by the idea, and then it can be a teaching method.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I got the job in a corporation in Tokyo, Japan. I worked for the corporation for almost 7 years. And then I was in an employee training section. And then one of my favorite training was for female employees. So, and of course, I loved intercultural communication workshop as well. So I was a facilitator and then also a coordinator of those workshops. And then I've learned that when we create safe environment, people talk. So most of the workshops at the company focuses on cognition and then also skills. But in those workshops, especially for women's workshop, emotional aspect was included. And then I heard lots of good stories from them. And then one of the stories was something like a women's boss told her tea, which was made by women, is tastier than man-made. And then so that kind of duty was considered of the women's duty. And then another story was well, when one of the participants when she went out for drink with her colleagues and then boss, and her boss told her, "You don't pour a sake for me? No wonder. So why? That's why nobody wants to marry you." Like that.
Oh,
Yeah, and then it was more than 30 years ago, but it's still common. I want to be surprised if, people say, when men say something like that to women. It's
Mm.
kind of common, still common, especially older generations. So it was kind of shocked, and then also shocking, and then also irritating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but
Mm.
the great things about it is when we create a space, safe environment, context, people can share their stories. We cannot do that in the workplace because it will create a conflict. And then, yes, in Japan, as you know, nominication is really important. And
Mm.
nominication is like a place, it's a place for drink, is the place for business meeting.
Mm.
So, yeah, it is important to join nominication. But that kind of things happen, gender discrimination or microaggressions,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And do you actually see the difference between generations? Because this is what is, of course, part of the story when we look at this at the global level, that the emancipation has progressed. How do you perceive it in Japan? How do young women actually react right now to this forms of microaggression?
Oh, yes, it have changed a lot in a younger generation. People are more sensitive about it, and then probably younger generations really do not have that kind of perspectives. Like I said, power dynamics have been changing.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
but from dramas, movies, and then social medias, we still have that kind of aspect. So people talk about it, and then people are being aware of it. So we are more conscious about that, issues.
Yeah, yeah. And this is exactly the moment where this consciousness regarding shared stories is such a big added value when we work in groups, isn't it? Because people, when they have this safe space and they are invited to share their stories, they also can maybe also influence, inspire other people to break with stereotypes, to see different issues in the new light, from the new perspective. So it's very powerful. And it brings me to this very special method that you decided to apply also in your teaching, the living library. Would you like to dive deeper what it's all about, and of course why you decided for it?
Okay. So living library is well. First, I'd like to show you everyone the background.
Mhm.
Of
I
the
love it. It already shows the atmosphere.
Yeah, well, my students take a picture of the scene of our living library. So we place 6 small tables, round tables, and then each table, speaker and then listeners sit together. So one speaker and then 3 to 5 listeners. So it's a small group. Yeah, that is a space where listeners focus on engaged the speakers talk, and then speakers can be heard their voice. So it's create a magical moment, and it's reciprocal, and then also like the interpretation that take place between you and me interact with each other to create something new. So I like the saying that the life is like a work of art. If you don't like it, what you see, you can paint over it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, in that context, speakers, co-create their experience with the listeners. So, in one living library, speakers had a chance to talk more than 2 times in our living library event. So my students said when they became a speaker, they said, well, in each time my story has changed a little bit because I get a question from listeners. And then every time they open up, they mean like speakers. They open up themselves and then share different aspect of their stories. So by the time they complete, finish 3-time talk session, they are really energized because they received good positive feedback and then being asked intriguing questions, and then they can dig up their experience and then find a treasure from that. Even in a hard situation, they find something which make them stronger.
Yeah.
So that's why living library. So that's why I said it's magical.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And as you say, the speakers are actually this opened books. Yeah. So that's why also the name, the living library, so that others can approach them and can not read, but listen to the stories they want to share. What is your experience when you work with the living library with Japanese groups or with the mixed groups when there are students from different corners of the world? Do you see any differences? You might be smiling, but this is of course again this kind of stereotyping that we work with stories differently in different cultures. But is it really the case? What is your experience?
Yes. Thank you for the question. Well, depends on who are with. Even with the Japanese group, if they know each other, one another, and then if they are strangers, totally strangers, probably situations are totally different. And Japanese people kind of shy to open up themselves, especially when they are strangers each other. So I would say, well, in-group and out-group, speaking of in-group, out-group, there is a high threshold between in-group, out-group members. So when Japanese people work together, we need to lower the threshold to mingle together and open up themselves. Setting a context is really important. When it is mixed group, well, international students, well, it depends. Again, it depends on where are they from. But if they start to talk, Japanese students also join it. But important thing is the creating context, especially for Japanese people. Karaoke place, karaoke place.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Japanese people are kind of shy to sing in a public. People never do it.
Yeah.
Even if you ask, oh, can you sing this? No, I cannot do that. But they sing crazy in the karaoke box. Karaoke box is kind of small. Box is not really a box. It's a small room. If you just Google karaoke box, you will see a small room. Only 7 to 10 people can be fit. Japanese people sing like crazy in the karaoke room. Yeah, that's a context. So if you build it, they will come. It's a kind of famous word from Field of Dream movie. But anyway, it's same thing. It's the context. That's important.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And I also like, this comparison between karaoke and also this setting the scene, so to say, for working with stories. because I can imagine that it's really, this simply universal need for human beings to share their experiences. Of course, everybody is struggling with this moment of vulnerability, which is involved, and also, the issue of losing face. I guess this is also, depending on the story, a big issue for different people. So it's all about expanding the comfort zone when they share personal stories, because of course in many cases they make themselves also vulnerable. And this is, as you say, a little bit different when they feel this safe space. Yeah.
Yes, safe space. Yes, and then also living library is really effective for education. Well, colleges and universities in Japan are considered as a center of community, and then the college and the university's roles in a community is the spread knowledge, and then also contributing for something, in the community, because students learn from the community, and then they come to school, and then the school itself is kind of supported by the community. So we need to create a reciprocal relationships. So having that living library and the inviting people in surrounded area really helps, because they understand the students, then also the school, and then also what kind of people are living in that area. So yeah, my students facilitate our living library. So my students go out to community and then find the speakers, and then they become a living book.
Yeah.
I'm using metaphor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're like a star in the community. Even like mothers raising children, or like owner of a cafe, and then bakery stores.
Yeah.
And yeah, anything in the community, anybody in the community can be a speaker. Everybody has a story to tell. We're supporting each other in this community, so that's why we can live happily and then safely. So by sharing our stories, we understand how much we were supported in the community. So it's like, well, if I use a metaphor, it's like a forest under the ground. Well, there are lots of trees in the forest, and then under the ground, underground roots are connected, helping each other, one another, but we don't see it because it's under the ground. But when people come to human library, living library, and they listen to different kind of stories, the appreciation we have a feeling of appreciation. So that's why the room is filled with appreciation and then surprise, and then lots of positive energies.
Yeah, I love your description, because it's also about connecting. Yeah, so stories are a little bit like glue for the community, that
Yes.
even strangers have got this space where they can come together and get to know each other better way, and to expand the understanding, not only at the cognitive level but also at the emotional level.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So Miki, you invite students to share their stories. You invite members of the community. What was the biggest surprise for you so far when you were
Biggest
working with the living library?
Well, students have changed a lot. One of the reasons that I integrated living library into my seminar class was the students' relationship was dry and distance, but since we started the living library project, they become more connected and then also respected one another. So each of them are kind of energized and then taking a leadership, and then they do not hesitate to take a risk. Yeah, and then also they make lots of mistakes, like when they write an email to reach the people in the community, they are not really choosing a appropriate or right word. So it's like I'm speaking of a business writing, like a business writing skills. But every time, I check their writing before they send the message to them. But gradually they get used to, the communication with the communities. So they gained their general skills, and then also the business skills, and then also they're more open minded, and then work together very well with the team. So yeah, good things happened quite a lot.
Yeah. So this is this additional level of working with stories that they are not only invited to work with their own experiences, but also to create the space for others and be the hosts, so to say.
Yes, we always say, well, I understood that. But actually, somebody said this. I really like this word. Understanding is misunderstanding. And then nothing but misunderstanding exists as a fact. I really like it.
Yeah.
So what we see in the world, not always correct. And then what is correct? What is incorrect? Changes depends on the context.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if I could quote Heart Sutra, have you heard of Heart Sutra? The Buddhism Heart Sutra?
Yeah.
It started with Kanjizai Bosagyo Hanya Haramita Jisho Kengon Kaikudo, like that. But in the Heart Sutra, the words, the characters as empty or nothing everywhere. So we see that it contains many characters of such as empty or nothing. So that means we create reality that can be misunderstood so easily. So what is a reality? So we have to be careful not to intrude other people or like blame ourselves too much. So it's like narrative exchange, like a dancing. Yes, so music can be a context.
Yeah,
Basically a context, so like that.
so it's also a lot about tuning and also reacting, to this, what this book, living book, is communicating. This brings me also, to one more observation, that it's of course very, very challenging for us as human beings, because what you have said, that we listen to someone and automatically our inner voice tells us a parallel story, so to say. Yeah, so we listen always to other stories through our own experiences, our own cultural influences and preferences. And it's really, really challenging not to judge. Yeah. And this is actually the most important part with working with stories, that we need to, yes, shift from this judgmental positions towards more understanding. And this is exactly the moment you have described, accepting that understanding can also actually mean misunderstanding, because if we don't dive deeper, if we don't show that we really want to get to know this person better way, that we really can develop empathy and walk a couple of steps in their shoes, then it won't work. Yeah? Working with stories, it's also a little bit about energy investment and a lot about empathizing.
So by creating a safe place and then enjoy listening to the others and then immerse yourself in others' box, like you said, put yourself in others' box. We forget about ourselves. We could just focus on that, the person's story. And then, yeah, I would say, well, our world is like a competition. Competition kills creativity. What I feel. That's what I feel. Yes. Competition always can be a drive for us to move forward. Yes, it sometimes encourage us to keep moving, but our goal will be different from our real goal. So, like a storytelling is not like that. When we immerse ourselves in others' shoes, we forget ourselves. Yeah, if we immerse ourselves into the others. Stop judging the other. Yeah, not comparison, not competition. And then after we finish listening to the other story, we can come back to our box again and then bring something back to my box, and then we can create something new about ourselves, about myself.
Yes, definitely. Because also the living books could expand their understanding with this, or reactions from the story listeners. I love it. Miki, we have gone through really, really tough times, and I still remember that, of course, it was a very big challenge also during the pandemics, how to, in general, go on with teaching at the universities, in the corporate world, with all the programs. And this brings me also to the question, what was actually helpful in your case? What one word gave you the support, and what is the story behind?
Well, again, I would say creativity. Yeah, we can always take a different route. When we face problem, we always feel like, oh, there is a big wall in front of us. How can I get over it? But being creative, we can find a different route to go over the wall. Maybe we don't have to go over the wall. We can find a different route to go to keep moving to our direction. So yes, creativity is really helpful. And then going back to the storytelling, narrative exchange, we can find something new by talking with others. Everybody has a different lenses. So we see the world in a different way. So other people, your counterpart, cannot see what I see. So it's a vice versa. So you can give us a different perspectives, and that can be that will help me to be creative. So creativity is really important. We always need to keep talking with others when we get stuck. And then respect the others' experience, and then, understand it, accept it. And then everybody wants to be valued treated as value. So respect is really important.
When I listen to your description, I immediately have to picture the technique of Kintsugi, when there is a broken dish, a broken bowl, broken plate from porcelain, that there is this old Japanese tradition to mend it with mostly with gold, isn't it? So one can see also this places where it was glued together with gold, so that one can even say that it's upgraded, it's more precious. And when I think of this metaphor in terms of stories, this is exactly what is this magic moment when people are sharing also this moments of vulnerability, when they were literally broken, when something didn't work, when they struggled, and when they hear from the others what strength they hear actually in their stories. This is this moment of mending this porcelain, the kintsugi, when they get this different perspective how their story is perceived. So
yes, I love that. I love the metaphor. Yes, as you know, wabi-sabi.
yeah.
Yeah. Even like a wilted flower can be see beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We can just focus on the process of the flower, so we appreciate the moment that flower entertained us. So like you said, Kintsugi, that's we can imagine the process of the people, somebody work on that ball. Yeah. So we have appreciation there.
Mm.
That's really beautiful thing. So we everything has a beauty, like cherry blossom.
Mm-hmm.
Cherry blossom, the period of blooming period of cherry blossom is kind of short, but after the peak of blooming, the pink petals of cherry blossom drift into night sky. So pink color in the night sky, that is a beauty. So we can find the beauty any from anything, any moment. So yeah, storytelling is like that. It's lots of things combined and then creates the space. Oh, and then atmosphere of the location and in many things. So I go back to the memory of my living library event with my students, which is this picture behind me is that. Yeah, I still remember the laughing, also, the smells of coffee. One of my students made a coffee for the guest. So, and then also singing, and then, so the whole set of my memories come back to me when I look at that picture. Yes. So like you said, on the process of creating the moment, many people's effort are there.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Miki. Thank you so much for sharing. You have shared many, many great experiences, how this living library can really move hearts, and how people can transform also, and also see different perspectives while listening to the other stories. And above all, and this is what I'm really grateful for, you emphasize this power of connection. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Joanna.